Are you?
Welcome everyone to race day in Indianapolis. We are here for round number round four
Or
of the Penguin RC Sports Car Challenge presented by Nitro Circus. And I, of course, am Chad Irvine, and here with me, as usual, is Ray Kingsbury. And Ray, 3 rounds into the season, we're going back to yet another track for back-to-back races that we've seen these guys race at before in the series.
yeah, Chad, and super interesting is that the championship series follows up here next week for a doubleheader at the track. So a lot of guys have a lot of laps at this venue.
Yeah, it's one of those things that just kind of logging as many laps as you can. Just trying to get as much in terms of laps turned and kind of get familiar with the track, even though it's going to be very different in the championship series next week. It's going to play a lot. The braking points are going to be different. The way the car handles is obviously going to be different. But yeah, just the way that the races are going to compare, I think, is going to make it interesting.
Yeah, both series have received an update essentially from iRacing. Both sets of cars have new physics available to them. I know that the GT3s, it's not as big of a change, but there is a huge rebalance on the Porsche, and of course a brand new Ferrari brought into the mix. Meanwhile, in the IndyCar, we've got a whole new tire set, which is super interesting.
Yeah, that's going to be something to watch over there. But here, we're taking a look at the guy currently sitting on pole by about a quarter second over this man, the 67 of Cody Cosgrove. And Cosgrove, surprisingly, fastest car in the practice session before the race. Gonna have to see if he can transfer that over here in qualifying and into the race.
Yeah, Chad, my bet personally is going to be on Christian Chandler. And as I say that, he goes to the top of the board. But I think Challener's looked fast and practiced. BOP seems to have brought the Porsche more in line with the McLaren. We were previously seeing a lot of drag on the other cars compared to the McLaren. The McLaren was able to, or not the McLaren, compared to the Porsche. The Porsche was able to kind of pull away out of the corners and then also just kind of maintain that speed down the straightaway. So I think with this new update, McLaren's going to have a little bit better straightaway speed advantage. And as you know, this track's a lot of straightaway.
Yeah, you've got two very long ones, both the front stretch with that features the Yard of Bricks, the famous Yard of Bricks, as well as Holden George Boulevard, which is a road I've walked and driven on way too many times, and it's got its claim to fame recently with the NASCAR debacle there a couple of weeks ago. But two very long straightaways for some of these guys to try to maximize their speed.
Yeah, interesting to me, Chad. This is not the newest layout of this track. Obviously, there's a few things that are different. I personally think it's the best layout of this track. I really like it a lot. I think it leads to great racing. We saw in the first season of this series when we visited Sabian, and I had a very great battle here for the race lead. Two very different cars, two very different setup philosophies. I went for a high downforce setup, and he went for a low downforce setup, and we were still neck and neck the whole way around. So super interesting to see what happens here. I really like that there's a lot of high downforce sweepers as well as a mix of hairpins. So
Yeah,
I think it's a great balance.
yeah, that big difference that that race came into wasn't downforce; it was the amount of fuel that you put in the car. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm not convinced I would have had him even with the fuel though. I think he would have dragged me to the line, but it was fun for the TV.
Yeah, it was a spectacular race to watch for sure. Something you guys are going to be noticing at home. This is not the current IndyCar layout that these guys are going to be running. It is the old layout circa, I think, 2010. This is still featuring the oval turn 1, but it does not have the Formula 1 double hairpin. So I believe this goes back to 2009, 2010 when this one was scanned, just after Formula 1 wrapped up their run here at this track.
Yeah, it is true. They did go through a few iterations of this circuit. So if we're following Austin Aspity, that turn he's going through now, that left-hander is a sweeper in our version of the game, but it's a more of a 90-degree left in real life. And then there's the two right-lefts that are 90 degrees in our game, but they used to be hairpins. And I think there's still those 90-degree right-lefts. Is that correct, Chad?
Yes, very similar. It's a lot more fluid, a lot more flowing in through them compared to the sharp 90-degree corners that we have here. So right here, really quick, we'll wait until Chandler goes across line. We've seen Janny, by the way, go back to the top by about 1/10 of a second. Here comes Chandler across. Of course, this is oval turn number 1. This is not where they run these cars today, but we're going to go ahead and ride on board with the chase cam, give you guys a feel of what this track is like. And you can see here, it's going to be a long straightaway going all the way hard on the brakes, braking around the 200, 250 feet marker. And hard right
Meters.
back to the left. Meters, feet, yards, whatever. It's all the same. You gotta just use
Measures of units.
You want to
Units
use
of measure.
you want to use all of these curbs though. I mean, look at how much he's clipping that on the right side and all the way back out to the left. Normally nowadays you take that left-right chicane right here, but no, we go back into the infield into a tight left-handed hairpin.
Michael Janney's gone to the top of the leaderboard. Christian's got a 10th or so to make up on him.
Yeah, and he's going to have a bit of a slipstream here from these guys in front of him. Hopefully he is within drafting range. But here is the next portion. Now, nowadays, it's just a sweeping left and then a gentle right. But this is to the left and then immediately back to the right. It feels very similar, I think, but this corner, this left-hander is not quite the same. As now you see Chandler got some slower traffic up here in front of him. Hopefully this doesn't hinder his lap.
If anything is going to help his lap, Chad, we're headed onto the main straightaway here, and he's going to have the toe off of Harley Moss, who's actually got the toe off of Cody Erdman, I believe that's ahead of him. So he should have quite an advantage heading onto the start-finish line in the yard of bricks here. See what he can do.
Crosses the line. That last lap was
No improvement.
24.971. Does not improve. He's about 2/100ths of a second slower. He needs to get past this car right here real quick to see
He's
if
going to toss the lap.
Yep.
Can't blame him.
Yeah, I'm
You
surprised.
see behind him, Austin and Vincent, they're teammates. I wonder if there's a little bit of mind games going on there. You know, give me a little bit of the draft there, Vince.
I give it
I know
to
I
you.
would
You
be.
give it to me. Yeah, scratch my back. I'll scratch yours. These guys
Right,
have 4
yeah.
minutes left. And by the way, Cody Cosgrove jumped up to P number 2.
You have to wonder. I mean, Cody did pull in a nice practice lap. You have to wonder, did he have a little draft there?
Yeah, he was P1 back on the practice session before the race. His teammate right there, it was the same top 3, just in a different order. He's going to pull it off on the back straightaway.
And that was a clean lap, by the way. There was no draft involved on that lap.
That's incredible. Michael Janney still sits on top, and he is trying to get as much help as he can, working his way back onto this long straightaway. Through this, it's technically considered a corner, but you're flat out enough, and there's enough banking to assist the car that it doesn't matter. You're just going to get the slipstream and just go. This lap, 149.8, does not improve for.
I don't think Christian's going to get his back scratched by Austin, but Austin and him are very friendly. They do run some endurance races together in the major series. And Austin is about a second up the road from Christian. So if he times this right, speed-wise, Christian might be able to pull a little bit of a draft on the back half of the circuit off of Austin, who's by no means slow. He's only one position behind Christian.
So here's on board. You see that blue car up ahead. Look how much he's hammering those curbs on the inside of this track. And it's this is a track that Christian and I had some very heated discussions about the layout of it after what happened just a couple weeks ago here in the real world. But it's my favorite track. I consider it my home track, and I'd love to bring new people to it, kind of tell them all about the history of this place. It's a very fun place to be and a very fun place to watch a race at. Let's see if he can't close it in here as he goes into this braking zone.
You know, Chad, I missed the drama that happened here in real life. I really have been out of touch with, I guess, NASCAR. But I do know Flynn Lazier has said he's driven both of the current layout and this layout in real life in certain cars, and he was telling me he much prefers this one. He said the other layout that IndyCar runs, not that it's bad, but the chicane section is, pretty much it's single file after that point.
Yeah,
Not really much passing you can do.
I do agree with Flynn on that one. That infield hairpin that they run, kind of, I call it the inner loop. There's not really a name for it, but he.
Yeah, turn 6 to 7.
Yeah, turn 6 and 7 on the current chicane compared to the inner loop. But here's some team drafting.
No improvement from Chandler.
Nope, still no improvement. We're going to start in the 3rd spot unless he can improve on his last lap. Here comes Janney practicing his pit entry. Very hot getting into the pits here. You don't have a lot of room to do it compared to what we see on the new layout. There is a different layout in turn number 1 of the oval for some of these guys, or that we would see in the real world. So definitely a different pit entry makes things interesting if you don't know this current layout compared to the modern one. But that is coming. That has been confirmed by iRacing. I believe we are also getting the dirt track that's inside of turn 3 as well. It's going to be interesting to see when that update comes out, how drivers take to the updated road course.
I'm excited for the updated oval. I know it doesn't seem like there's much to update on the oval, but for many years, the Indy 500 on iRacing has been quite a prestigious event. Requires a lot of setup grinding. And I think that if you update the track parameters or even the surface just the slightest, it may throw things in for an utter chaotic loop, which I would welcome.
Yeah, we've only got about 10 seconds left, and only a handful of guys right now on flying laps. I don't think, nobody looks like they're going to get another lap in. So we're going to have to
There are 25 cars out there. It's a good grid tonight.
Absolutely, yeah. It looks like, let's see here. Vincent Lahrbier, he's wrapped up his lap. Who is left on track right now?
Kieran Big Dog Forrest is still on track, down in P14.
Here's a look at the beautiful car of Jeffrey Wallace. New paint job for that 99 Team Watson machine.
Harley Moss is pulling the draft off of Cody Erdman here. Not sure if that was something calculated, but definitely something that's working out for them. Might move Harley up the order a little bit here as they come down onto the last straightaway, the main straight.
Might be a little too close. Well, he clips the grass there. Unless that's that might be a 1x. He might not get this lap to count.
I don't know if he got it off the curb enough to discount the lap, but he might still gain just enough out of this draft to kind of claw some of it back.
And here he goes, going to cross the line here. Cody Erdman turns in a 128.463. That's
Harley did not improve either.
Harley with a 0.2 of a lap slower, and then doing some drifting afterwards, making it look good out there.
Got Jeffrey finishing up a lap here. I don't think that's going to be an improvement based on the pace he's running.
No, I think that he was too late across the line. So he, I think, is just going to bring it into the pits here. Have to wait and see. Yeah, he's running very low there, so he's going to practice pit entry on his cool down lap and park it. A couple other drivers still here in the pits. Yep, looks like that is going to be it for qualifying. Just waiting for the rest of the session to wrap up. It's going to be a matter of time here. This is the waiting game. You know, even the crew guys down here on pit road just kind of stand around waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting one. I'm not really sure who's going to win, but I'm going to go with Christian Chandler. He's starting P3, so, you know, not necessarily the fastest qualifying effort. You know, obviously Michael Janney and Cody Cosgrove are faster in qualifying, but I do think he's going to pull it off on the long run here.
Yeah, and we can already see that there is some fuel saving kind of going on, I guess you could call it, because a lot of these guys up at the front of the field, like Janney, Cosgrove, Espedy, Schofield, have not taken to the grid yet. They want to wait as long as they possibly can to try to get things rolling here for.
Yeah, I do think you're right on that, Chad. I don't blame them. You know, Chad, over in Twitchland, we have a few visitors. We got Gecko over there. We've got the one and only Charlie Daniels over there.
The Charlie Daniels Band. I like that.
I do too. All right, Twitchland. Who's winning this race? Tell us. Throw it in the chat.
You stole my pick because Christian is always my pick. I can't pick the same guy though, so I'm gonna go with Janney. Why not? Those Porsches have been strong all season. Also, it looks like did everybody that drives a Ferrari, looks like all but one have switched to the new Evo model.
I think all of them did.
The only one I'm seeing that hasn't is Kevin Moore, and I don't believe he is set to start this race.
Oh, yeah, he's at the back. Yeah, David Schofield is running his number plates in the legacy position, but he did switch to the new model of the car. And Kevin has he done any practice? I don't even think he's connected to the server.
He's put 2 laps in practice, but they were very early on as we get set for the pace car to pull off. Let's take a look here. This is a look at your starting grid, at least for your top 10. There you see a bunch of Americans with Michael Janney leading the field, then Cody Cosgrove out of Canada, both those 2 teammates running in the Porsche. Then from Great Britain in the McLaren is Christian Chandler, then Austin Espedy. Kevin Fanning's going to start in 5th in the Porsche, then David Schofield and Brandon Lambert. Schofield and Lambert both in the Ferrari, the new Ferrari, which is why the logo is not there to show up. And then Cody Erdman back in the Audi, then Steve Lane. Tim Brokaw in the 10th spot in the Porsche as well, representing the U.S. James Watson there in the 11th spot with Vincent Lahrbier in 12th. And Lahrbier actually as well is not running the updated Ferrari. So that's the other driver in the field not running the new model.
Very interesting. Based on everything I heard, I would want to be on that new Ferrari, but I guess a couple of them are comfortable in the old one. I can't blame them. I'm sure there's not too much of a difference between them, but I certainly would want to be on the new one. They wouldn't release a new one for no reason, right?
Exactly. Something that kind of saddens me, that scoring tower that just went off screen off to the right there, that is still standing but no longer operating. It's got a little carousel on top that no longer spins as well. It's one of my favorite things as a kid to see at the track. Just an old school timing tower, but unfortunately does not work any longer. But you can also see the golf course with that pond right there at the bottom of your screen. Played that golf course a time or two, and it is very challenging. Hosted a couple of PGA and LPGA events over the years. So a dirt track and 2 concert venues located inside this facility. 2.5 miles for both the road course and the oval as well. We're getting set to take the green flag here for some fun and incredible racing.
I do think it's worth mentioning the difference between the two Ferraris. A little narrower fender on the older version of the Ferrari in the front. And there's also an extra aero element on the new version, like a little wicker on the front fenders that's like raised up about 6 inches off the ground. So that's where you're going to see a significant amount of downforce increase.
Here you see the long run through now oval turn number 1. Pace car going to pull off very late up here. And the pace car ducks aside. And 2 by 2 on through the back with 24 drivers taking the green here with Cody Cosgrove and Michael Janney up in front. Gonna have to see how things cycle out as they work their way down towards turn number 1. 3 wide further back. Wow.
Yeah, there's some good action down in the back. We've got a bunch of Ferraris 3 wide. Kieran Big Dog Forrest making the move on the outside to take 2 positions. They're touching Schofield's around in the mid-pack. Couple touches there with the Matco Tools Porsches, it looked like, but no major incident. We've got a couple other guys jiving and jockeying for position around James Watson. I saw the 28 of Julian Emilani getting a little too hot, but he backed out of it, and now Brandon Lambert's off the line, just ahead of them.
Let's go back here. Something happened to your brother. Oh, he got absolutely plowed into from somebody. Let's see what happens here. See if we can get a better look at it. Going into turn 3. Oh, he just got absolutely punted. I think that was the 04 of Jonathan Diggs that collected him.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of action going on in front of him, too, right now. We are 2 wide through the double hairpin section. Actually, they're 90-degree corners, but I like to call them hairpins.
Side by side for the lead, by the way. Your front 3's starting to break away already. Oh, and Chandler with a huge run here. Oh, almost some contact.
You know, I mentioned earlier Schofield was across the grass. His fender's
3
torn
wide up front.
And there's a few other wounded cars throughout the field, Chad.
Look at some of these moves. These guys. Oh, Christian Chandler off track.
Where'd he go? Big Dog Forrest off the track.
The track is wet.
And, you know, Christian may be off the track, but he didn't lose much ground.
No, he lost 2 spots. There was some contact. Let's see. Let's take one more look at that as well, because there definitely was some contact. See him run wide there. And maybe he didn't. That was very close between himself and Michael Janney.
Our 2 biggest movers. Take a guess. Movers forward, that is.
Big Dog and I couldn't tell you. Harley Moss?
You're right about Big Dog. Big Dog up 5 positions despite mowing the grass in turn 1. And we've got Jack Belton up 6 positions.
There you go. Those 2 guys easily climbing their way through the field. That's a look.
And Belton made it to 7 just now.
Big Dog, he's got a gap in front of him. He's got some clean track to work with, so he does have Steve Lane breathing down his neck as well.
Well, they're a little spread out in the midfield now, but, you know, the great equalizer is the draft, Chad. Here they come down the front straightaway. Cody Erdman in 5th, making a move on Austin Espity for 4th. There's also some
Oh, and
there
Chandler.
things happening up front.
Chandler going to try to make a move once again. Can he do anything with it? It's still going to be Janny. They're still side by side, though, for second. Wow, look at all these battles.
Cosgrove with a great move there. Espedy making a look at the podium on the inside of Chandler here.
And Chandler's going to drop all the way back to fourth. And if you're Christian Chandler, you don't want to get trapped behind these guys. You want to
have a slowdown.
He must have, because he was. Yeah, because he was way off the pace there. Oh, and he runs very wide there as well. Something's wrong with Christian Chandler's car right now.
Yeah, he missed that apex. He had a slowdown he had to clear, he just said in the chat. I wonder if he ran the curb over in turn 1 a little bit too much, or maybe that was something from the off-tracking.
And you do have a fixed amount of time. I believe it's 30 seconds to clear your slowdown penalties, or else you get black flagged. So he had to do that at that corner, I guess, and lost a ton of spots. He was third at the start of this lap, currently running all the way back in the 6th spot. He's under a ton of pressure here from Vincent Lahrbier and Tim Brokaw right behind as well.
Yeah, looking back at the replay, I think that slowdown's a little harsh. I mean, he really couldn't do any more to keep off the curb as it was. There's a car to his outside. And he really did not cut the course, if you ask me, but I'm not iRacing.
He's going to make a move, try to get that 5th spot back. He's inside of Kevin Fanning right now.
Oh, boy, they're 3 wide behind them at the yard of bricks. James Watson's in the middle. It's 2 wide behind him. We might have 4 wide before the corner entry.
No,
sorry, that's not James Watson. That's Jeffrey Wallace. They are 3 wide, 4. Oh, boy.
A huge gaggle of cars there.
Oh,
and there is contact.
Spinning.
And that is Jeffrey Wallace.
Has been made worse for wear there, with damage on both ends of his car now.
Yeah, Sohn with damage, and then there was Wallace you saw go around as well. Trace Hodges, he was collecting that one. Mike McCullen, he runs wide at turn 4.
Matt Kingsbury got more damage than that. He was not the cause of it.
No, we've seen him involved in multiple incidents this season, but was a non-factor. That one just kind of collected in the carnage around him. And he sent me a message before this race started that said Shark wants some nom nom. So he's hungry to gain some positions here as he had to start from the back.
Well, I'm not sure if the Shark should want the nom nom. I believe he's just 1 point off of a race ban here. So he may want to take it easy, especially considering he's not got the wins in his sight tonight.
And he is side by side with Brian Sohn right now. And now he's going to get clear of him. Can he get the run down the front straightaway? We'll have to wait and see.
There are some beat-up Ferraris in this field. Julian Emilani, his right rear fender does not look like it's attached to the car. And something has happened to Cody Erdman, because just a little bit ago, he was P4, wasn't he?
You're maybe thinking of Cody Cosgrove?
No, Cody Erdman was up there. He was P5, he was P4 at one point. Yeah, he was P4 at the end of lap 3. I don't know what happened to him. He spun all by himself in front of the field.
And doesn't look like there's any damage to the car, thankfully, so he does have pace to get back up there. Just has to try to, bide his time and work his way back up there. By the way, Christian Chandler got about 1.25 seconds out in front to Austin Espedy. I wonder if Espedy is going to kind of fall back to Christian. Those two can try to work together to draft back up to the front too, because right now, Michael Janney, all on his lonesome. He's just going to be a sitting duck for whenever these guys get to him.
So we had 2 people in the chat, Twitchland, respond to our query there. We had Gecko say he's going to go with Schofield and Big Dog Forest as the wild cards, and PPS0N also said Schofield. Unfortunately, those picks aren't looking too great right now. Though Forest is climbing up the order.
Yep, that's a look at Schofield, currently running down in the 16th spot, right behind Julian Emilani right there in that red, white, and black Ferrari. That's right in front of both of these guys. Running the same car. They've got some work to do if they want to get up to the front of the field. One of the new guys, I believe, yes, this is going to be James Watson here. Some familiar Team Watson Racing colors. he's making his series debut here in the sports cars. He has run over in the Rallycross series for 2 seasons now, but now making his debut over here in sports cars, running that BMW for Team Watson Racing.
Receiving word, Matt Kingsbury actually has a meatball flag, though. He says his car really doesn't have much damage on it.
And I see he is now sitting in pit road, and he's been there for quite some time. For a minute and a half, he's been in his pit stall. So,
Yeah, the word I got was it steered mostly straight. Not sure why it needed a repair. Mostly straight means it's not going straight.
but mostly straight means it's drivable.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe they changed the parameters for these cars. We are looking at a battle up front here. Tim Brokaw to the inside of Vincent Lahrbier, and that's for P5.
And these guys,
P6 rather.
yeah, these guys battling hard all throughout this mid-pack, and right behind them, Steve Lane, one of the former Matco Tools guys, now with Livewire SimSport and DDR, and these guys we talked to them throughout the season. They've kind of did a last-minute partnership between Lane, Cosgrove, and then throwing Janney into the mix. And they said that they do like the switch that they made over to the Porsche. So Janney really leading the charge for that team, and he's currently leading this race. As Christian Chandler, by the way, has caught back up to Austin Espedy. And then he's right behind Cody Cosgrove as well. But Michael Janney really pulling away right now. He's 3.25 seconds out in front of just about everybody else in this field.
Yeah, Challoner's got to think of doing something a little different, but unfortunately the short pit's probably not the best strategy for it. The only good news for him is he knows this tire the best out of anybody. So maybe he knows something we don't. Maybe he's going to change tires or something crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the tire fall off is going to look like. Michael Janney so far, after currently running lap number 8, started out the race running 125.5 as fast. He's already down to a 125.8, so 0.3 slower from the start of the race till now. And Christian Chandler, you just mentioned it right, all the way up now to the 3rd spot, trying now to work on Cody Cosgrove there in the 67.
Ooh, an aggressive move. Not one I'm used to seeing from Christian, but he must really want to start making up the time. He must know it's going to take a while.
Yeah, he's... there's some contact there as well.
Christian's around. He's going to be in the wall.
Oh, keeps out of the way. He does lock it up. Oh, he did not lock it up. Wow.
There's some rear wing damage on that car for sure.
Let's go back and see if we can't take a look at that. We'll go up to the chopper cam. There you see Christian clips the curb. Oh, and then the 67 of Cosgrove clipped the outside on the right side of the track, clipped that curb. And then Christian, not locking down the brakes, gets into the barrier. Looked like he would have been able to slow it up in time. But unfortunately, did collect the back end into the barrier. Doesn't look like there's too much damage to the car. However, he has lost a ton of time. The way that this season has started, this championship battle has just been intense the entire time. So he's every race is going to mean a lot from here to the end for Christian Chandler.
I mean, yeah, this right here could be this could be the end of the championship run with how good these two drivers are. It's way too early to say that for sure, and this is, he's not in a position where he's way out of it here. He could climb back up to a top 5 quite easily, but top 5s aren't good enough to win a championship against Michael Janney, if you ask me.
This is a interesting battle to watch here. This is Vincent Lahrbier right behind Tim Brokaw, the battle for the 4th position, and Lahrbier had the perfect opportunity to make a move going into turn number 1 and thought better of it. Very patient move there, as we still have 47 laps left in this race.
And Austin Espedy has assumed the 2nd position in that BMW. That was a car that was not looking particularly quick at the start of this season. It is looking much more competitive here today on this very long straightaway track.
Yeah, that's one of those things I remember talking about during some of the earlier seasons, especially the first time that we came here when you had your incredible battle. Just the difference between, I think you were in the Corvette at that time, is that right? And there was the, I would say, the big cornering speed differential between you and, was it Savian, I believe?
Yeah, the Ferrari had tons of straightaway speed, but we had tons of cornering speed. If we could get out in clean air and get away from their draft, we were able to break away. But the draft was the great equalizer, and that allowed them to just pull right by us. And we could stay in their draft, but we couldn't pass them into even the braking zones because of the straightaway disadvantage. So what we found was because of that, we couldn't really do much in the corners because it's really hard to pass here. Turn one's really the only good braking zone.
Yeah, and that's one of the changes. There's a couple of good braking zones on the updated version of this circuit. But yeah, very dependent on what car is running at the time. There you see a couple of guys. This is a look at James Watson and Asfak Dennis currently battling for the 15th spot. And you just saw Brian Son right behind him. He is one lap down. Matt Kingsbury still on pit road. Is he out of the race? I don't believe he is yet. He's still connected to the session, so he's got some work to do, but I think that his race is just about over.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would be pulling it back out if I were him. There was a crash in the inner loop. Brian Sohn is around in the Audi. That car looks destroyed.
He's missing a whole bunch off of the back end. Let's take a look at the nose, and that's all bent up as well. But hey, getting some good time, screen time for the sponsor of this series. We couldn't really put these shows on without Penguin RC, Arcade Designs, just about everybody that sponsors all of our series. We've had Sim Racer Coin on board for the longest time. Of course, we have to thank Nitro Circus for letting us be here as well, just kind of hijacking you guys 2 or 3 nights a week. Always fun to be watching these guys put on such great shows as we look back at this battle once again between Emalani and Belton.
Yeah, lots of great sponsors, and I'm just looking at the back of Austin Espitty's car. Major's Garage, they're also on board with us. We really appreciate their support. So be sure to check out Major's Garage for a lot of free setups, really good baselines. Blake Reynolds actually ran one of their baselines at Texas last week and won on it. So they've got good stuff. And then there's some relatively relatively inexpensively priced upgraded setups.
This is a look at Harley Moss trying to work on the back of the big dog. Kieran Forrest into the top 10. As Christian Chandler, by the way, has worked his way up to the 8th spot. Now, something must have happened to somebody, because I didn't think that I thought all these guys were 1 spot back, so might have missed something. I'm not entirely sure, because I thought that Chandler was just running in 9th not too long ago.
Yeah, he was. Steve Lane came back a couple positions. That's really what you're looking at there. And somebody went behind.
8th on the last lap, now back to 9th. As they come across the line, they're side by side. That's between Harley and Big Dog.
Big Dog's got to step up. Come on, Big Dog.
He's running for, of course, your team there with Spark, Last Lap Motorsports, and that 42, of course, in honor of Jackie Robinson, one of his idols in all of sports and a role model to Mr. Big Dog. So very great to see drivers paying tribute that way, and that Spark car looking pretty good out there.
Chad, I was at Lime Rock this weekend for vintage racing, and I realized Spark had sponsored the track, but it felt like a C-list celebrity every time they had a Spark ad on the PA. Lots of drivesvr.com ads going on.
I was going to say, I saw your post about that. Very awesome to see them, because how long have they been with both you guys and your team? Because it feels like it's been at least 2 or 3 years now.
I do think it's been 2 years. It's hard to keep track with the pandemic. I know it's been 2 seasons of Indy Elites. I think it's been 2 years. Of course, starting as Spark Virtual Racing, with their VR arcade, and really that was a great experience. Unfortunately, the pandemic, hit businesses like those the hardest because they couldn't be open. So that adventure ended, but we were really grateful we get to stick with them in some capacity with their sim rig business. Tailored sim solutions. Basically, you can get in touch with them and get either coaching or whatever you may need, or a full tech setup, and they know what to do. They'll get it to you.
By the way, look at this battle. This is inside the top 5. This is 4th, 5th, and 6th, with Cody Cosgrove right there in 7th as well. This is a train of guys just off the podium.
Yeah, a good group there. Wow, I don't know if I could pick one out of that group to kind of spearhead it. I do think Brandon and Vincent Lahrbier have been coming from behind in regards to where their track position was. Vincent started in 12th and Brandon started in 7th, but he fell back pretty early after an off. So I think if Brandon's car is clean, this could be the opportunity for him to kind of break away from this group if he can get in there.
Something, by the way, that I'm noticing here in iRacing is they have sold the grandstands all around this racetrack. You would not see that here on the road course. They don't sell the entire thing. But anyway, back to...
We're really popular, Chad.
Oh, is that what it is?
Nitro Circus.
The demand was that high?
They also sold Oval Turn 4, which has 0 turns viewable from it.
Turn 3 you're talking about, but that's okay.
Turn 4.
No, Turn 4 is right here where these guys are running now.
Well, yes, I guess the beginning of Turn 4.
That's where I sit for the both the Indianapolis Grand Prix and the Indy 500 every single year. Great place.
Nice spot for the 500.
Oh, it's a ton of fun. I'm trying to get you out here one of these years. Oh, there's contact there. We'll have to see. That's Lahrbier that's around. Let's go back here. Take another look. We're right on board with Cosgrove. We'll go back and look one more time. Let's see if we can't find the cockpit view here. So you're just gonna throw it up the inside. Yeah, there's just the slightest bit of contact. I don't think Lahrbier was expecting him to keep his nose in there, but that's something that might be reviewed after the race. It doesn't look like there's too much damage there to the 67 of Cody Cosgrove, who has dropped off like a rock. But Michael Janney right now all on his lonesome, 10 seconds out in front of second place Kevin Fanning.
Oh, Christian Chandler has climbed back up to P8, and he's looking at Cody Cosgrove ahead, who he had that incident with. Chandler is, of course, up to P7 after clearing Steve Lane that lap, Harley Moss. And did somebody pit? I thought there was another car ahead of him. But Brandon Lambert has actually made his way up to 5th place as well. Now, make that 4th for Lambert.
Yep, Lambert up in 4th. Right now, the only drivers that have pit are both Brian Son and Matt Kingsbury. I think Kingsbury's done for the race. Brian Son, on the other hand, he is 1 lap down and just logging laps out there, trying to make his, trying to do well for both himself and his company, because they also sponsor the series.
I'm taking some notes, Chad, because I don't know if you knew this, but I'll be in the car next time around at Lime Rock Park.
Oh,
gonna give it a go.
Well,
we're gonna get back out there and prove to everyone we still got it.
It's gonna be an interesting one. We raced here before, but the only other time we've been to Lime Rock in this series is when we had a multi-class, and it was I don't want to use profanity. It was a crap show.
We did not have multi-class, sir.
I definitely.
That was all GTEs.
Oh, was I thought that was the GTE GT3 season? Was I mistaken? I just remember. Maybe,
no, that probably would have been less embarrassing for a few people.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember just lap traffic at when you're turning laps of 54 seconds a lap. It was definitely something to.
Oh, Cosgrove's around. That's gonna push him well outside the top 10.
And he's got some damage there to his right front. And this is just now going to lose. That's 10th spot going by him. And now he's down side by side for 11th. So he's currently in the 11th position.
He just big time overdrove turn 1. Got on the brakes just late. Not sure what happened there.
Take a look. Let's go back just a little further. Okay, so that was already too far. We'll go back one more click. There we go.
Looked like his pace was decent too.
Yeah, and something I'm noticing, do they not have the I guess they might, and it just isn't accessible. But typically, if you're going to overdrive turn 1 like that, there is an access road further down that's basically a chicane as a slowdown point that you have to make it through in the fence. So that's good.
I think there may be, but I don't know if you would actually want to try it in iRacing.
That is also very true. You want to try. Some guys just absolutely floor it through there, and somehow make it look.
Yeah, there
easier
is
than turn 1.
indeed a little access road. Yeah, I wouldn't want to try it. I think I did try it once by accident in the car, and I found out that the walls actually stick out a little there.
Here's a look at your leader, Michael Janney, 10 seconds out in front of Kevin Fanning. Then it's Austin Espedy, right just about a second and a half behind him. Then it's Brandon Lambert feeling the pressure here from Tim Brokaw.
Ooh, Big Dog making a move. Big Dog up the P10.
That's your boy. He's actually holding on to the 10th spot as he got around Cosgrove during his spin. He's been in the 10th spot since he got around, but he's feeling the pressure here, both from Cosgrove and Cody Erdman, who's been right there behind him the entire race.
Yeah, Erdman's quick. We said he was up to 4th position early in the race. He had a spin, so he's making up ground. Also making up ground, still Christian Chandler up into P6 now. I'm sure he is going to end up in the top 5 by the end of this thing. His pace is down a little bit, but it's not too bad considering he's got damage on the car.
Yeah, his last lap was a 126.3. That was just barely faster than the guy right in front of him, Tim Brokaw, made up about a 10th that last lap for Chandler. This time, though, coming to the stripe, it's a 126.2 for Brokaw. And Chandler goes relatively consistent still to 126.35.
Still a decent battle between Brokaw and Lambert there as they do come up on lap traffic. You got to wonder, is that going to play a factor? Michael Janney's actually carved his way by a few cars already.
Yeah, Janney has already lapped both Brian Son and Mike McCullen. We've seen Brian Son, of course, have his issues involved in multiple incidents so far. This is Ashok Dennis. I believe he is about to lose his lap. Yes,
He just came into the pits, though, so he's on a different strategy.
That is correct. Yes, he is the only driver currently, I guess, to have made his pit stop as he pitted from, I believe, the 13th position.
Well, I'm just taking a look at Christian Chandler's car, and you got to think that he hit that wall in a way. Is there any suspension damage, Chad? It's hard. It doesn't look like he's towed out, does he?
Well, let's go to the chase cam here. It looks like there might be some rear wing damage on the left-hand side. It's bent up just the slightest bit. And then if we go to, say, the cockpit cam,
he's driving pretty straight.
Yeah, the steering is straight, so that shouldn't be an issue. Didn't hit with the back end. But yeah, taking a look at this chase cam, you can kind of see that left side of the rear wing is bent up. So definitely going to play a factor here. Hopefully no mandatory repairs during his pit stop, because that would effectively just kill his race right on the spot.
Well, he is. Oh my gosh, there has been a murder committed by a lapped car. Mike McCullen did not get the memo on the blue flag there.
Let's take a look. Let's go back and see what happened to Mike McCullen. Trying to pull over and give these guys some room. Oh, and it looks like he just wasn't expecting the Spark car to make that move. Not sure which one that was. Was that
It was Lambert.
That was Brandon Lambert. Wow.
And that's that's not what you want to see. You don't want to see lap cars getting into leaders. Thankfully for Lambert, it looks like he's able to carry on and drive, but you got to wonder what type of front end damage is on that car, and at a track like this, that's never good.
Yeah, it looks like that left front is bent in significantly. That the front of that tire is going to be exposed, and definitely going to play a factor as this race continues on. Yeah, I know Mike as a driver, very great guy, and I know that he definitely was not he's trying to stay out of everybody's way. I think he thought that those guys were just going to fly by him, and unfortunately, that was not the case.
Yeah, that wasn't quite the spot to let up like that. Unfortunately, it was obviously an accident.
But he's still holding on to that 4th spot, feeling the pressure, though, from Tim Brokaw. You just kind of see him glancing in the background. There is Christian Chandler trying to work his way up into the top 5, and he is still turning out some absolute flyers. He was a 2.5 seconds quicker last time by the stripe compared to those 2 guys in front of him.
Michael Janney getting some dirt kicked up in front of him as Trace Hodges is off the track. Should be able to take him pretty easily on the straightaway here, but I'm sure that was a little scary of a moment.
Here's a look at Harley Moss, still right on the back of Steve Lane, and he's been there for quite some time. I think that Harley's just trying to figure out when he can get the job done.
Yeah, Harley's definitely got some pace in that car. His lap times have fallen off quite a bit. I don't know if there was an incident in that lap or what, or maybe they're just battling real hard. But down the straightaway here, I'd look to see Harley make the move down the inside.
Here you see they're going to be working their way back onto the oval portion of this track. Just going long, sweeping right-hander. You're basically flat out from here all the way to turn number 1. Peeks his nose out, thought about making the move there. He does on the brakes into turn number 1. And then you see some guys battling right behind them as well. That's Lane and Lahrbier. Or sorry, Lahrbier and Forrest. Oh, and contact there between, is that Lahrbier and one of the lap cars? Let's go back and see if we can figure out who that was with him. Sorry, that was a 67 of Cody Cosgrove.
Cody's been in a few incidents tonight, unfortunately.
And here's a look at Big Dog, just kind of trying to keep things clean. He gets past 1 just fine. He's up into the top 10 now. Here's a look back up front at your leader, working on some more lapped traffic. That's going to be, I think, Jonathan Diggs, the next car. That's going to be right in front of him.
Lahrbier, not any damage on his car after that contact, by the way. He is the only Ferrari on that legacy build right now. A little bit of different front aero configuration. A little shorter wheelbase on that Ferrari.
And he does work his way down pit road. 1 mandatory pit stop per race. The car is not raised up. It does not go up on the jacks. So he will stay just about where he is. And just lose some positions on pit road, but expect to see him get all those back when everybody comes out to pit in front of him. Chandler, by the way, up into the top 5 now, working very hard on Brandon Lambert for the 4th spot. And there you see right behind him as well Tim Brokaw in the 111.
Some close battling all around. You got Harley Moss and Steve Lane still at it.
Yeah, Harley right there. He's going to definitely be able to make the move here in turn number 1.
He should be able to.
He's got the slipstream, and he's got the momentum. Oh, so maybe, I won't say some blocking, but some very defensive line there from the 66 of Steve Lane. They're side by side, and Harley's going to have to take the long way around in turn 1. If he can at least keep the overlap, he'll have the inside in turn number 2. No, he cannot.
Not quite brave enough. Chandler did make it by Lambert and Brokaw. I don't know if we already saw that or not.
Yeah,
but,
he just got by them. You see all that damage over to the left front of Brandon Lambert's car. That's going to be killing some of his straight line speed as Tim Brokaw now all over his back wing.
Yeah, that's terrible for Lambert. He looked like he was having a really good race.
So the lead up front now is 12 seconds over Fanning, then Espedy about 2.5 seconds behind him. And then they've got a large 6-second gap back to Christian Chandler in the 4th spot. So
It might look worse than it is, Chad. Damage. He isn't really falling off too much on time.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Just gonna have to watch how this plays out the rest of the way because we are just crossing halfway. 26 minutes remaining here for these guys, and still Janney, Fanning, Espedy, Chandler, and Lambert.
Huh. It's funny. Lambert pulled out a line there to kind of draft break, but then either Brokaw just didn't make the move or didn't have the straightaway speed to make the move. You'd think with the damage Lambert has, he could just cruise on by, but that's not the case. I don't know if Brokaw's sitting there just letting him lead out or what. I would be trying to make a move, personally.
Yeah, he's trying to make a move or just kind of peeking his nose out, and maybe some spots you wouldn't normally expect to, like that right there. Oh, he clips the grass with his left rear. He's gonna go around to collect the wall.
Oh no, Timmy! Here comes Steve.
So he's gonna have to try to rejoin with cars coming at speed around him. So he's gonna lose 2 spots from that, and just unfortunate to clip the grass with his left rear, and that upset the car enough to go around.
Brandon Lambert will take the reprieve and just focus on the cars ahead and maybe work on catching Christian Chandler here. Not that that's really possible. I do think Lambert could have the pace for Espedy if... That's a big if with the damage he's got, but I do think he could have him. Potentially.
He'd have to get there first. He's already lost about 1.5 or 2 seconds to Christian Chandler. And then Chandler's got about 6 seconds on Espedy. So pit entry going to be huge here.
Yeah, I mean, Fanning's pace is good too, but 126.2, and I think Lambert without the damage might be able to pull those. It's hard to tell because he's been in traffic the whole time. Chandler got the back end stepping out there. But yeah, I do think you're going to see a battle for that first or second step on the podium between Fanning and Espedy before the end of this thing.
And one thing that Christian was telling these drivers before the race is on this new tire model, you need to protect them. You don't want to be running loose. You want to keep your car just kind of tucked in line and kind of keep it pointed the right direction at all times. A loose race car typically can be a fast race car, but with this new tire parameters, they get hot and they're going to wear away quick.
Yeah, that's for sure. You definitely want to protect tires in all forms of motorsports, but especially in anything on asphalt. We don't talk about that too much in our Nitro Circus or Rallycross shows, but yeah, these things do overheat.
This is a look, by the way, that battle's still raging on between Steve Lane and Harley Moss. They've been going at it this entire time.
Yeah, and their pace is still pretty good. I do think Harley's got the faster pace out of the two. He just hasn't been able to get the ideal line.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to bob and weave kind of down that front stretch. You see him there just sitting in the strip room, sitting. Gonna wait as long as he can. Gonna peek the nose here again. We've seen him there. Last time by in this spot, he was able to get most of the way ahead. Can he get clear? He can in turn number 1.
Oh, he finally got it done, Chad. I was trying to find his place on my my tracker. And that is, that was a good move that he made there into turn 1. It's not always easy, especially with how heavy you got to get onto the brakes there. He's going to have to set sail and start looking at Brandon Lambert up there, see if he can catch up to him.
Yeah, this is
pretty far up the road.
Yeah, this is Brandon Lambert, 9 seconds up in front of these two. And they've been battling so hard, that's where they've lost all their time. Another good battle here is between Cody Erdman and the Big Dog. The Big Dog trying to hold on to the 10th spot, but Cody Erdman wants to get that spot back.
We were saying this could have huge championship implications on Christian, but I still think he's got the pace to possibly regain second here. I'm looking at his speed. it is faster than Kevin Fanning, only marginally, but that's all he really needs once he catches the draft. And I say marginally, but now it's about half a second faster. So, yeah, now with some clean track, Christian's really putting down some rubber. And he's going to close that gap, and I'm sure those guys aren't going to really give him too much of a hard time. So if he can come out of this with a second after crashing, I think he'll be very pleased with his drive.
Look at the defensive driving there from Big Dog, but gives up the inside. And that's going to allow Erdman to get by into the 10th spot.
Yeah, it's Chad. I'm super interested to see what will happen with this championship battle between Christian Chandler and Michael Janney. As it ages. Of course, we've got 10 rounds. This is only the fourth one. Like, it's hard to believe that we're 4 rounds in and we're already talking about championship picture, and it's close. 2 wins to Janney, 1 to Chandler. It's looking good for Janney tonight. Not so good for Chandler. But even with that result going Janney's way, you're still looking at a pretty close points difference. It's only 10 points right now, or 20 points right now. So.
Yeah, and something about that as well. These guys still have to make a pit stop. Everybody from 15th on back has come into the pits, but everybody up in front of that. Vincent Lahrbier is the last car on the lead lap, but everybody in front of him has not yet stopped. So those guys, they still have to stop, and that's one thing we've seen guys get penalties entering pit road in this series before. So just gonna kind of have to wait and see and hope that some of these guys aren't too aggressive trying to make up time on pit road.
Yeah, and that's, I think, an area where Chandler will gain time on a few of these guys that are maybe not practiced it as much. I don't think Espity really put too much effort into the practice for pit entry, and I don't think Kevin really focused on it a ton. So. It is funny. You look at the BMW, and it is driven so gingerly compared to this McLaren, which has got its rear end hanging out. The BMW, smooth sailing, nice and calm, very pointed. You're not seeing too much wild stuff out of it.
Yeah, looks like most of the battles here is won on track. This is Cody Cosgrove's lap car there. Oh, wow, major contact there. That's Cody Cosgrove and Tim Brokaw. What happened there? There was a lap car involved. I believe is that.
Sounded like he was pitting in, and
that was Schofield. Check them
yeah,
both
Schofield
up.
drove
Oh
by.
yeah. So
Brokaw wanted down pit lane. Didn't realize Cosgrove was there, and there was just calamity.
Wow, yeah, there was absolutely nowhere for Cosgrove to go. And is he under power as he limps his way to pit road?
This car's real beat.
Yeah, he's definitely got some major either engine or steering. He's just feathering that car down to pit road.
Yeah, he's not very happy over the radio, and I don't blame him. We know Tim didn't do that on purpose, but that's a huge mistake by Tim. Maybe a little bit of a lack of awareness of what was going on with his relative. I've made mistakes like that before. It never feels good to make those mistakes.
Yeah, there's
you end up beating yourself up. So
massive suspension damage there for Cody Cosgrove. I think his race might just about be done. He's going to have massive repairs there on that 67 as the engine cuts out as he limps into his pit box. Here comes Kevin Fanning pitting from the second spot. He works his way down this long and narrow pit road here at Indianapolis.
well, that was a very intriguing incident. I'm not really sure how to look at that one. Usually the onus is on the car that's boxing in, and now we've got 2 guys sitting in the pit lane. So really unfortunate. Kevin Fanning is on pit lane. I'm sure that's a scheduled stop. I didn't see any drama with him.
Correct. Yeah,
at least I hope not.
He came in just behind the 67, so He's in, he's down, and he is out in 14.5 seconds. That seems to be about maybe a second or two longer than the average stop time for some of these guys. But yeah, 14.5 stationary in the box and 48 seconds on pit road. He is back on his way.
Yeah, I don't think that's anything abnormal. He didn't change tires. He was just filling up the fuel. Maybe he put a little extra in to be safe, but with the Porsche having a little more drag in this type of track, that could impact his refuel time.
Here's a look at Cody Cosgrove's teammate, Steve Lane. He is working all over the back of Harley Moss, trying to get his way into that top 5 of the car. You see jumping into frame back behind him. That is a lapped car, so no need to worry about the position from behind.
We haven't mentioned, but Kevin does actually have some wing damage. I don't know if we know where he got it from. He may have had it all race. Maybe I just didn't notice, but it's very slight.
I have not noticed it either, but he now works his way down pit road. This is a very long, as I mentioned, pit road here for Steve Lane. 5/8 of a mile is the length of the entire straightaway, so about half a mile of pit road here at Indianapolis it must be.
All right, the answer is that Kevin Fanning got that damage on lap 1 when David Schofield got over the grass and got a little loose, and then kind of, I don't want to say slammed into the side of him, but that's really what happened, is slammed into the side of him. So Kevin had a couple car contacts there. Maybe lucky that it's not affecting him more than it is.
Yeah, here's a look at Chandler now up to 3rd on way of the pit stop, and I think that some of these guys, they've seen everybody blink first in front of them. I think you've kind of made your bed and you have to lay it now. Just wait as long as you can until you run out of fuel before you come into pit.
Maybe those extra few seconds we saw, Chad, was Kevin pulling just a little bit of damage out of the car. There was a little bit of front aero damage as well, actually. So maybe he was just pulling a little bit out of it.
Espedy does not pit. Janney does not pit. Chandler stays out as well. Next car here on the lead lap is Harley Moss. He works his way back up, and I think he is going to stay out. Yes, he is. So pretty.
Yeah, I would be staying out as long as I can on the track like this.
Yeah, pretty strung out all throughout the field here.
David Schofield is running some pretty good lap times. I don't know if he put fresh tires on that car or what happened on his pit stop, but
Yeah,
he's
got
nice times down.
You see some big clouds rolling over the track right now. Currently 4:50 virtual standard time. The track temp right now, 90 degrees. So pretty, it's going to start cooling off just a little bit here for some of these guys. Hopefully they can take advantage of that.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. I'm not sure if taking tires is worth it on this new tire model. I think they said they really sort of plateau for a while and then really fall off at the end. So I think guys like David are just hoping that other guys are going to just fall off a lot towards the end, because you only pick up about 4 laps, faster laps on a fresh set of tires, and then it plateaus. So
here comes Austin Espedy and Christian Chandler. Chandler, look at how much time he made up right there. Just entering pit road, he was 3 seconds behind. That's now down to half a second behind Austin Espedy.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think Austin practiced pit entry, and Christian definitely did. So there's that time advantage from practicing that pit entry coming into play. Not really much for Austin to gain by going in there hot, so the move by him to just keep it easy and make sure to get a penalty. So
Janney, by the way, did just pit in front of them, so he has made his one pit stop. He now is leaving pit road. Here's both Chandler and Espedy. Who's going to come out first?
I'll take a guess with Espedy. I don't think he's going to be there as long. Christian did make up a little more ground, though.
Yeah, half a second was the difference in the pit stop, and 0.3 of a second was the difference between their times in pit lane. And
here's Kevin Fanning.
Kevin Fanning's going to take a spot.
So here's the podium scrap. Fanning was actually P2 coming into his box, so he's actually dropped down. Maybe a little bit of damage repair, maybe a little extra fuel. Who knows? But you do got to wonder what if Fanning didn't have any of that damage the whole race. I know it's very slight, but would he have been a little further up? I want to say no. Doesn't look like that damage is very significant, but we look at guys like Chandler, who has, I would say, pretty significant wing damage. And it doesn't seem to be affecting his pace either.
Harley Moss, by the way, has been in his pit stall for a long time. He's been down pit road for 1 minute and 15 seconds. He just now leaving his pit box as well. But, man, this is going to be
He didn't put tires on, as far as I can tell.
Yes, he just lost a ton of spots by doing that. Not sure what exactly happened to him. But this
Well,
is,
I can
this
tell
is
you,
gonna be,
if maybe he put tires on, that would explain. But 1 minute and 15 is awfully a long time.
that was his entire time down pit road. That was about 30 seconds or so longer than anybody else around him.
That would make sense. It's about 30 seconds to change tires.
Yeah, and there's your three guys battling for the podium, getting around the 99 of Jeffrey Wallace, 1 lap down.
Christian really on top of that curb there.
Yeah, we've seen that come back to bite him once already in this race, as he got a slowdown early on that really put him further back in the field maybe than he wanted to be.
Well, a great drive from Kevin here. He's on the podium. I don't know if he'll hold it from Christian Chandler. He was way ahead of Austin Espedy for about half this race. So I think there's a chance he could possibly regain that spot from Espedy.
Yeah,
I am wondering if maybe he put in too much fuel on his pit stop.
and look at Chandler using as much of that racetrack as you possibly can, going all the way out, 2 tires across the curbing on corner exit of that, I guess the inner loop as you might call it, and Christian all over the curbs once again. So these 3 battling very hard for the win here, for the podium here, as Michael Janney seems to have it all but secured that top step, as he is 23 and a half seconds.
Standing to the inside of Espedy for that second position.
He's going to have the inside. Can he hold on under braking? Almost runs wide. Keeps it on track, and almost contact there between him and Espedy.
Bobble from Espedy.
And Chandler right there as well. Chandler is inside. He's going to have 1 spot. Can he make the second one happen here? So he is up into third now for Chandler. So it's now Espedy, Chandler fanning these 3 in line.
Chad, how good is it watching 3 different manufacturers having such a close battle on track? These cars are just brilliant.
We have 4 manufacturers in the top 5. We've got 2 Porsches, and we also have a BMW, a McLaren, and a Ferrari. So definitely a well-versed, a very great mix of cars here. Chandler right there once again. He's just going to keep his foot in it here. Try not to lose any. Tucking right up behind Austin Espedy. Swinging a little bit wider there out onto the oval portion. He's going to go to the outside of Austin Espedy. Can he have the momentum? Look how high he is going. He's going to lose a ton of ground, but he's going to get that right back in terms of the momentum that he has now, peeking it to the inside.
Yeah, I think Christian knows with the aero damage he's got to be really smart in setting up his run so that he can break away in the infield section here.
Very late on the brakes, able to get clear. The back end steps out just a little bit. Now switches back onto the inside. And Christian Chandler got about 3 car lengths out behind, now back to Austin Espedy.
I'm just trying to find something to talk about. Oh, there's something. Scott Corbin is off the track in P12, but he's back on.
Well, we could also talk about Mr. Big Dog Forrest trying to get the 7th spot from Cody Irvine here. There's another car off track as well. As
that thing is loud. Mike. Put it in reverse, Mike.
Yeah, just waiting to get that spot on track. That
car sounds nice.
It's a beautiful looking Team Watson Racing car. He gets it back on track after being beached in the gravel trap, and now he pulls it away as he now works his way down, lets that car go by. I think that's Harley Moss, possibly. yet Mike McCullen still just kind of logging laps around here, trying to get used to these GT cars. There's only a second race here in the series, so definitely just trying to get some experience and kind of keep improving his racecraft here. But this battle is still going on between Erdman and Forrest, the battle for the 7th spot.
You know, Chad, we're looking at how much time is remaining in this race, and it's just over, I believe.
Just under 6 minutes.
7? Oh, yeah, 6 minutes. Okay, there we go. So not a ton of time for these guys to make moves. You really got to start closing in on your prey here.
Yeah.
We do have a move. Well, that's a lapped car, but that's Vincent Lahrbier passing Jonathan Diggs. Battle
Almost
between
a
Big
move
Dog and
there.
Erdman.
Big Dog had to really get out of it. He was right there. Let's go take a look at this one more time because that was a very interesting move. Let's go to the chase cam on this one. Look how much he closes in under braking. And I guess just didn't realize how late that he was going to be. He made up a ton of ground, but then Lott gave it just right back. And you can see him hammering those curbs, trying to make up any ground that he possibly can. You know, I really want to show, you know, some love through all these guys on track, but these are the only 3 drivers within a second of each other, and all battling for that podium spot.
Indeed, Michael Janney's working his way through lap traffic right now, actually. You know, he's pretty far and away clear of a lot of these guys.
Yeah, that's the Team Watson Racing machine of Mike McCullen. He just got by. And then this next car up in front of him, I believe, is that Harley Moss? It is. I don't think Harley's going to make it easy for him.
Nope, I wouldn't. I'd make him have to pass me.
Yep, just now crossing 5 minutes to go, with laps taking about a minute 20, I would say. Minute 25, looks like about 4 laps to go, maybe? We'll wait and see on that one. These guys, by the way, that battle for the podium has shrunk itself out a little bit. As now it's a second between Chandler and Espedy, and then from Espedy back to Fanning is a second as well. So that slipstream pretty much null and void between the 3 of them at this point. Actually, here's Vincent Lahrbier. He's right on the back of Jack Belton now. Belton in the camouflage Spark car right in front of him.
Ooh, Harley Moss is around.
Harley Moss running in the 11th spot. And we just talked about him not losing a lap. He just unfortunately did have to do that. But he still does have 2 seconds back to the next guy on track. That is for position, that blue kinetic racing machine of Scott Corbin right there. That is for the 11th spot.
There's still a battle on the track between Kevin Fanning and Austin Espedy for that last step on the podium, and Espedy is sliding that BMW. I don't know if tire deg is there or what, but he needs to hold on if he wants that podium position. Oh, it is sideways. I said how collected it was earlier, but he is not looking too collected now with just a couple of laps left.
Yeah, the tire fall-off is something that we've talked about. They've made some changes, of course, to the tire model. And, you know, that's a big thing, a big change to these cars if you don't know how it's going to react over time.
Not a ton of time left here, but I do think Kevin Fanning has a shot if he can get enough draft. They are coming up on a lap car here, so that might impact his ability to make a move. But, you know, at some point you got to send it.
And 3 wide there, almost 3 wide there with a lap car, but lap car smart and gets out of the way. And these guys still battling very hard.
And Christian's not gone from this group by any means. So I really don't know who to call for this 3rd spot here. Yeah, it's close.
I think that it's just going to be all about opportunity for Fanning. He's thought about it and made some interesting attempts at it, but it just looks like he's not sure where to make the move.
I can tell you, Megan, that's down the straightaway. in the draft. But, you know, Espity is hanging that thing out. I don't know if he's overdriving trying to catch Chandler or if his tires are just gone, but he does not look comfortable in the last 3 minutes of this race. And of course, it's not like you got to double stint these tires, so you are going to push them.
And here is your leader coming across the line with just under 2 minutes left, so he's going to have 2 more laps to go here in this race.
Fanning with a good launch off. And he's obviously got Espity's draft because he's the trailing driver. Does he have the enough time down this straightaway, enough time to get the draft to close down into that braking zone?
The closing speed right now, Fanning running 257, 258 kilometers an hour. He's
got it.
Yeah, he's got 7 kilometers an hour more, but can he get his braking point right? He's made this mistake before, just too late on the brakes and running wide at turn 1. Does he do it again? Oh, he does it. Oh, no.
He tried it, but, you know, he was going for the podium. I can't blame him. I
Yeah.
think he has a huge gap to Brandon Lambert behind, so he's going to be able to get it refired. Well, good try, Kevin. It was a valiant effort. You had to go for it.
Yeah, and I was just talking about how much he
wow.
was 7 or 8 kilometers an hour faster than Austin Espity was going into that corner. That's why he had such a great run at it. And I think that just with as much of a draft that he had, he just was not expecting to carry that much speed into the corner. And by the way, as hard as those guys were battling, they've given Christian Chandler 3 seconds up the road.
Yeah, it's been a great battle between them. I enjoyed watching it. Wow. And, you know, we were talking about recovery drives. Brandon Lambert, despite getting that front end damage, is running P5. So great job by him. I do think he could have possibly caught the guys ahead of him, maybe without it, but I don't think he's going to be scoffing at this result.
White flag is out, by the way. Here's Kieran Forrest trying to get the 7th spot from Cody Erdman. He's working hard. He is absolutely wheeling it here. He's going to have about a lap and about a quarter left, or lap and a half left, I guess, to get that done.
Absolutely. Oh, Jack Belton, keep it together, boy.
Jack Belton right behind him in 9th.
Yeah, he just gained that spot from Vincent Lahrbier. You know, those 2 different generation Ferraris.
Yeah, and right behind him, by the way, is your overall leader. This is the final lap, so I think that if Belton lets him go, the race is just going to be over for him. You're not going to have to worry about taking one more lap.
It will be, but, you know, you kind of want to stay out and try to, you know, you never know. There might be a crash. Big Dog is working on Erdman here. Never know. You know, you kind of want to keep it on track. Another lap's another lap. Another difference I did just notice in the between the 2 different Ferraris, the rear diffuser is definitely different on the new Evo of the Ferrari.
Gianni across the line and takes his 3rd victory in 4 races here. So he's going to get the win. Christian Chandler now onto the final stretch of this one. And then Austin Espity right behind. Fanning and Lambert pretty far strung out. As long as they don't make mistakes, they're in the clear. But here's the best battle on the lead lap between Cody Erdman and Kieran Forrest.
Well, you know where my allegiance lies. Let's go, Big Dog.
I'm always cheering for the big dog, and I'm not biased at all. I'm not the team owner or anything. That's you.
Very biased towards Big Dog, but he's not very fast right now compared to Cody in terms of straight line speed. So I think this one's over.
And they work their way across the turn number 1 of the Oval for the final time. It's going to be Cody Erdman taking the 7th spot, then Jack Belton. A couple other guys still working their way around, just ticking off the laps here. And just kind of working their way around for the final time, just waiting to cross that yard of bricks. So now we just kind of give ourselves a second and Yeah, just kind of waiting to wrap this one up. Ray, any final thoughts before I let you go do the review panel?
Well, I mean, it was just another great race. We didn't talk a lot about Michael Janney, and that's not because he didn't drive a great race. It's just because he drove such a good race, and unfortunately, Christian had an incident that dropped him off of him. But there was just tons of great battling throughout that field. Everybody from Fanning and Espity to all the way down in the midfield to the back at the start. Yeah, it was just exciting. I think Kevin Fanning got the result he needed tonight. P4 is by no means a bad result. Brandon Lambert with a rebound. We saw the difference between the two Ferraris, the old Evo or the old car and the new Evo. Yeah, there definitely is a little bit to separate them. Vincent Lahrbier is a good driver, and other drivers in the Ferrari were exiting corners a little better. So yeah, I learned a lot tonight. I'm really excited to see what we can do next week at my home track at Lime Rock. I'm definitely going to be in the cars, so take a look for it.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one to watch for sure. These guys just, they always put on a good show for us. I can't wait to see what they have in store for the rest of us. But hey, thanks for joining me up here in the booth, man, and I'll hold down the fort while you take care of some of the admin duties here for a great show that you put on every week.
Thank you, Chad. Have a fun one.
Oh, I will certainly try as we wait to get some interviews done in here. Just waiting for some drivers to join us. Just a couple of moments as we wait. Let's take a look real quick at the results here as Michael Janney in the Porsche gets his fourth win of the season, or sorry, third win of the season over Christian Chandler. He's finished in that second spot 3 times. So these guys have taken the top 2 steps every single race so far. Austin Espity, he had a fantastic battle there with himself and Chandler and Fanning for those last 2 steps on the podium. And then it was, Kevin Fanning there in fourth, followed by Brandon Lambert. And then it was Steve Lane in the sixth spot, who was well behind. He had a pretty sizable gap back to Cody Irvine. Then Kieran Forrest and Jack Belton. Belton in the ninth spot finished 1 lap down. Then it was Vincent Lahrbier and Harley Moss, with Scott Corbin finishing in the 12th spot. Back in 13th, and let's see if I do not have a graphics for these guys further on back, but it was David Schofield 13th, followed by Asphalt Dennis, then James Watson for Team Watson Racing in 15th, followed by Julian Emilani and Jonathan Diggs, Brian Son, Trace Hodges in 19th, and Jeffrey Wallace, another Team Watson Racing machine, finishes in 20th. He's followed up by his teammate in Mike McCullen in 21st, then Cody Cosgrove, Tim Brokaw, followed by Matt Kingsbury, with Kevin Morin, the only driver who did not start this race. Well, let's start things off here with your winner, Michael Janney. And Janney, it seemed like you were just out for a Sunday drive here today.
Yeah. Hey, Chad. How's it going? Yeah, it's a little lackluster compared to the previous weeks because I've always had such great fights. So it is what it is. I mean, I'll take the win, but it was definitely more of a hot lapping simulator today rather than a race in my book. But good points. Had a strong start, a lot of fun at the beginning there, and then some unfortunate stuff to happen behind me, I think, and I think the gap from there just kept growing and growing and growing.
Yeah, something that kind of impacted just about everybody out there today was the changes to the car. Of course, we did have some changes to the tire model here this week. How did that impact you guys?
A lot, actually. I'll be honest with you. I credit our pace this week primarily to Christian because we had a setup from Daytona, okay, and we did like 5 laps on it, and the tire wear was so bad. And I talked to Christian, and he was able to kind of give me some pointers. And I mean, I think we were able to get a rocket ship set up at the end of the day from little experience. So yeah, a lot of gives to him. But I mean, I'm in love with this new tire model. I think the best part for me is the recovery phase of the tires. Like I ran my quickest lap on low fuel, like I don't know, 35 laps into the race, which is like, yeah, I've never ever seen that before. It's so much fun to experience because the tire drops off, and then all of a sudden you have this crazy grip again, and you can just push it and push it and push it. It's a lot of fun. I'll be really honest with you. It's a great change, great stuff.
Yeah, 3 wins in 4 races. But the guy that's battling you with the championships finished right behind you every time. What's it like having such a competitive battle between you two?
Um, well, yeah, no, it motivates me every week to get out here and practice as best as I can and really try to get the maximum out of myself. And it's really cool to see that the way the point structure is, even though um of the 4 races so far, I've come out on top 3 of them. It's, a 20-point difference, and that's one mistake, one mess up, one whatever, and yeah, he's right back in it and winning. So a lot of tension, a lot of stakes, but it makes every single week just loads of fun with each one of them because there's so much at stake and so little on the line to not mess up.
One of these days, man, I'll have a script based on what you say week in and week out. But any shout outs for you? Anybody you want to thank today?
Yeah, of course. I gotta thank Sim Experience for the sponsorship, Livewire Sim Sport, Drive Dead Racing, and all the teammates and advice that I got this week for the setups and stuff, and of course, Chad. Do you know what I'm gonna say at the end?
No, I don't.
Oh,
Me?
yeah. Thanks, Chad,
Hey!
for doing the
Yeah,
broadcast.
yeah, it was me, and it was Ray up here in the booth as well. He had to go do admin stuff, go make sure he didn't wreck anybody out or anything. But I'll pass along the word for him. And hey, congratulations on yet another victory.
Yeah, thanks, man.
That's
Really appreciate it.
that's Michael Janney, driver of the number 113 for Livewire Sim Sports. And up next to talk to is Christian Chandler. Christian, what a drive you had today. It was a wild one.
Yeah, it was an event. I'll say that. That's for sure. Yeah. So I mean, it kind of went a bit wrong in qualifying. I don't think it was intentional, nothing. But I lost 2 laps. Caught someone in the very last corner, which kind of killed that lap, and then they were obviously starting their lap, so I was behind them, on the front stretch and whatnot. So I lost 2 laps in one go. So that wasn't a great start. I do feel like I actually had enough pace to get the pole there. I mean, I felt pretty good in practice and whatnot. Race was just, yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. It's not how I wanted it to be. Obviously, I made a mistake on that first kind of move I made up the inside, and that was totally my bad. That could have got me to the lead, but I was just way too optimistic about it. I didn't hit anybody or anything, but still, like it was a pretty obvious mistake, and I think Michael kind of went a bit late as well, so both of us kind of had to sort of force our way back into the line, which is never great. And then I picked up that slowdown, and to be honest, on that slowdown one, I really felt like I deserved more space there. I kind of started with my right sides on the curb, and I just kept getting forced further and further onto the curb, and eventually my left sides were on the curb, and that's a slowdown at that point. So that was huge. I mean, I think that alone probably cost me any chance of trying to beat Michael in the race. It was going to be difficult anyway, but that obviously set me back a lot. And then, yeah, just got tagged around. I don't think there's any malice or anything in it or whatnot. Just a bit unfortunate that kind of 2 incidents that sort of cost me a chance of winning the race happened with the same person. But it happens. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty mad at the time, especially obviously after the second one. But it is what it is, and there's a lot of damage, and did manage to come back and get the second. So minimal damage in point sense, I suppose, to Michael. But yeah, not what I wanted.
When you saw yourself shuffled back to the 10th spot there, what was your mindset? What was going through your head?
Realistically, that I thought I could still get back to second if my car wasn't too badly damaged, and to be honest, I think I could probably help myself out a little bit with that one, because when I got tagged around, I was looking at it in replay, and yeah, I mean, I was going pretty fast when I got tagged around, so it was going to be hard to stop it anyway. But I think I could have. I was so surprised actually that I was going around that if I'd have actually got on the brakes and stopped it sliding backwards into the wall, I would have helped myself a lot. It would have made the fight back a little bit easier because I had about a minute and 15 seconds worth of damage. So that made it more difficult than it needed to be. Like I say, I still felt like I could probably get back if the car wasn't too bad. When I got going, I was still able to run in 25s and 26s, and that was enough to get back to second. I knew obviously the chance of the win was gone, but I thought with an outside shot I could have got back to second. Was able to do that. So yeah, happy with the recovery drive. Happy that I was able to mentally kind of come back from that because yeah, it was pretty frustrating. That's for sure.
You made up a ton of time on pit entry. What was that like for you?
Well, actually, I was in Discord with Austin, and I said to him, I said, you got to be careful of the pit entry because the cone is right at the end of the wall. And I think he thought the cone. I think when I said that, I think he was only half listening, and he thought that the cone was like at the end of the access road. Because as he was going onto the access road, I saw him hit the brakes, and I was like, no, speed up, because the cone's later. So that was pretty funny because we were both trying to get by Kevin because obviously Kevin was there in the Porsche and had pit quite a bit earlier than we had. So yeah, that was how I was able to game that up. It was more a mistake from Austin than anything particularly good by me.
And something else. I mean, we touched on it, and I guess with Michael in his interview, but some big changes for you guys at iRacing this week, especially to these cars. 'Cause I take it the reception's been good because I haven't heard too much negative feedback on it.
Yeah, I mean, so one thing that I did like to see, obviously, I mean, Michael finished with 23-second lead, so that's not too unusual, I would say. But one thing that was good is that it seemed like overall there was less kind of self spins going on and whatnot, and that the cars are now a bit more kind of communicative is the word I'm going to use in terms of what they're doing, so that you don't get sort of caught out by snap spins and whatnot as much. And I mean, for me there, I felt like it was pretty good. And when I was coming through, I saw a couple of people obviously got a little bit loose. I think I saw at least one person loop it around in front of me, but for the most part, it seemed like self spins were down. And as you say, yeah, reception's been pretty good so far, so that's cool to see. Because obviously, I mean, I had confidence that it was pretty good, and along with all the other changes to the cars and whatnot, in both BOP and just kind of general quality of life stuff. But you never know until something's out there, and it's kind of all been locked down for a little while and whatnot. So it's sort of been there, and I've just been kind of waiting for people to get their hands on it and kind of see what the reception is. So yeah, as you say, obviously, in a way, no news is good news. But if anybody does have any feedback on these, both good and bad, yeah, please feel free to send it to me. I'm always happy to read feedback. Like I say, if it's good or bad, either or, it's all helpful to me.
Just don't use terms like broken or OP. I know Christian hates that, but
well, you can use terms like that, providing that you back them up with evidence. If there is things that you do determine to be broken, I'm totally fine with people saying that, providing that there's evidence backing it up. And in terms of evidence, I'm talking things like replays, telemetry files, garage screenshots of tire pages, all that kind of stuff.
Well, hey, man, congratulations on another second place finish. It was a heck of a drive for you. Anybody you want to thank once again?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to you for running the broadcast. It looks like you're on your own here today, and yeah, that's some heavy lifting. So good job, man. I'll definitely watch it back. And
yeah, Ray was here with me as well. He had some admin duties to attend to, but yeah, we held down the fort and did our best to make you look pretty good out there.
A good deal. I appreciate it as always. So yeah, big shout out to you, man. Thank you for the broadcast. Always appreciate it.
Hey, congratulations.
Oh, and Michael for winning the race, because it would still have been tricky to catch him, I think.
I mean, hey, it was a great battle while it lasted between you two, and it was a great charge through the field. Congratulations on second, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
That's Christian Chandler, your second place finisher here today, and it looks like Austin Espedy, our third podium finisher, unfortunately had to run to get to some real life business and things. So shout out to him for taking his podium spot. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here, but it was a fantastic battle all around for these guys. It was so much fun to watch them throughout this race. Next time out, we will see these guys take to Lime Rock Park, one of the shortest and fastest tracks that we have seen here on iRacing here in the GTs, and it's going to be a ton of fun for that one. Don't forget, we also go back to Rallycross action on Monday night, and that one you can watch right here Monday at, I believe, 9 Eastern, with Wednesday is going to be the Championship Series cars. Those will take to this same Indianapolis track at 9 p.m. there on Wednesday. And then Thursday, these guys, of course, will take to Lime Rock and hopefully put on another fantastic show. But for everybody here at ASN, NASA, and Nitro Circus, we have to thank our sponsors from Major's Garage, as well as Penguin RC, and as well as, I know I'm forgetting, Sim Racer Coin. Sim Racer Coin has been with us for quite a long time here, and it's great to see them. And we're just going to have to wait and see who takes home the winner's coin here at the end of the season. But congratulations to Michael Janney for another victory here. And just make sure to tune in at the same place, same time next week. Until then, for Ray, Josh Mertz, and everybody here at ASN, I am Chad. And we'll see you next time right here on Nitro Circus.